Hey now, what's up everybody? We're gonna do some Code Katas. So let's hop over to, I already got Code Wars pulled up. And it's been taking us like an hour to find the one that we're on lately, so I've already found it. Save us some time, and it's friend or foe. So we need to make a program that filters a list of strings and returns a list with only your friend's name in it. If a name has exactly 4 letters in it, you can be sure that it has to be a friend of yours. Otherwise, you can be sure that he's not. So we get an array of names, and we need to output the names that are 4 letters long. Cool. Note, keep the original order of the names in the output. Cool. We can do that. All right. Let's grab it. Let's bring it down locally. Open it up in VS Code. Let's bump our font size up. Let's go ahead and put our title in, and let's is that good? And then let's bring in our function. And let's bring in our test. Maybe we need to bump it down a little bit. Cool. And these all need to, these all need to be console logs. Let's start up Quokka. And let's go ahead and bring these down so that we can see our output. Cool, so we're getting undefined returned right now. That's good, and this is what our output needs to be once we're done. So we're given this array of names. So what we want to do is we want to go through the array, look at each name. If it's 4 letters, then it is our friend, so we need to keep track of that. And I think first we'll do it with the for loop, and then we can do it with the map. We can do it with the filter. So let's go ahead and let's put a place. Let's create a place where we can store our friends. So we'll call it our real friends. That will be an array. Then we want to loop through our friends. We'll let I equal 0. Well, I is less than friends dot length. Then we want to increment. So we'll say I plus plus. We'll say if, and we'll let name equal friends at index. So that'll give us each individual name. So here we'll say if name dot length is equal to 4, that means that is one of our friends. We'll say real friends dot push, and we'll push in our name. And then at the end, all we need to do is return our real friends. Ryan and, so let's see what we get. Ryan and Mark, Ryan and Mark, Ryan, Ryan, Jimmy, Carrie, Arrett, Jimmy, Carrie, Arrett. So it works. Cool. So we could also do it with the filter. Let's go ahead and copy it. Whoa. I don't know what's going on. Why is it not grabbing? There we go. Let's get rid of all of this. And we'll say, let's return friends. So we'll take our array and we will filter it. And we'll take in the name. and we want to filter out where name dot length is not equal to 4. Is that what we want? No, where it is equal to 4. Cool. So that works too. That's with a filter. And we can do a map too. A map returns the array. Returns an array. But we're gonna go ahead and use, we'll go ahead and use our filter. Let's put it into Code Wars. See what happens. Let's test it. And let's attempt it. Cool. So it works. So let's see what everybody else did. I'm sure it'll be pretty similar. So if we check this out, we can see that we use a filter. That's what we did. Filter. This is what we did originally, pretty much, with the for loop. Cool. It's all pretty much the same. Let's do our next one. Categorize new member. The Western Suburbs Croquet Club has 2 categories of membership, senior and open. They would like you to help with the application form that will tell prospective members which category they will be placed. To be a senior, a member must be at least 55 years old and have a handicap greater than 7. In this croquet club, handicaps range from -2 to +26. The better the player, the lower the handicap. Input. Your input will consist of a list containing 2 items each. Each list contains information for a single potential member. Information consists of an integer of a person's age and the person's handicap. So we have our age and our handicap, and we have an array of arrays. The output will consist of a list of string values stating whether the respective member is to be placed in the senior or open category. So this is what our output should be, an array of whether they're a senior or open. Cool, let's do it. Grab our function. We're gonna test. Whoa. So these need to be console logs. Start up Quokka. Whoa, what happened? Start up Quokka. And if you don't know, Quokka is a extension that runs the code in our editor. And let's go ahead and bring down our functions so we can see our output. Did Quokka not get started? What's going on? We have problems. What's our problem? We messed something up with our test. We working now? Okay, now we're going. What happens? Cool. So now we see we're getting undefined return. This is our expected output, an array with open senior. So what we need to do is we need to loop through our arrays. Our array of arrays, and look at each individual array, and then look at each value in that array. But the first thing we need is a place to store their membership status. So we'll say let members, and that will equal an empty array. Now let's loop through our data. We'll say for, we'll say that I equals 0, while I is less than data dot length. We want to increment. And what that will do is that will give us each individual array. So if we log data at index, you'll see that we get each individual array. Now if we do data at index at 0, we'll get the first value of each array. So so we'll go ahead and we'll let member equal data at index, and that will give us each individual array. And then then we'll say if member at 0, which will give us our first value, is our first value is their age, and we want their age to be, in order to be a senior, they must be at least 55. So we'll say if member at 0, which is our age, is greater than or equal to 55, and now we need to look at our handicap. If member at 1, which will give us our handicap number, and what is it? If it has to be greater than 7, and have a handicap greater than 7. So if our member at 1, which gives us our handicap number, is greater than 7, then we want to say members dot push senior, and it's capitalized. So if these are met, if the member is greater than or equal to 55 and the member's handicap is greater than 7, then we're going to push that they're a senior to the members. And then we'll say else, if they don't meet those requirements, then we'll say members dot push open. And then at the end, all we need to do is return our members, and that should do it. Open senior, open senior, open senior, open senior, open open open, open senior, open. Okay, so that works. Cool. So let's chunk it into Code Wars. See if it likes it. Passed all those. Let's attempt. Cool. So let's go ahead and submit, see what everybody else did. So here you can see here they did a map. Have our age and our handicap. They did destructuring. So they named each value here with destructuring, and they said if age is greater than 54 and handicap is greater than 7, and they used a ternary, senior, or else open. Cool. So they created a they did the same thing here, but they created a function that they just passed into map. Map, everybody used the map for each. That's what we did, but we used the loop, for loop. Destructuring, that's cool. That's what we should have done. That's probably the best. This is the best answer, this first one. Cool. Let's do like one more. Equal sides of an array. Let's check it out. Dude, I mean, if they can't make these things any more wordy. You are going to be given an array of integers. Your job is to take that array and find an index n where the sum of the integers to the left of n is equal to the sum of the integers to the right. If there is no index that would make this happen, if there is no index that would make this happen, return -1. For example, let's say you are given the array 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1. Your function will return the index 3 because at the third position in the array, the sum of the left side, 1, 2, 3, and the sum of the right side are both equal to 6. Cool. So I don't think we need any more examples. We get it. Your function will return 1 because at the first position in the array, your function will return the index 1 because at the first position of the array, the sum of the left side of the index 1 and the sum of the right side both equal 1. So at 100, we get 1 on the left side, and then we get 50 plus -51. So that those are negative numbers too. You are given the array at index 0, the left side is an empty object. The right side, they are both equal to 0 when added. Empty arrays are equal to 0 in this problem. Index 0 is the place where the left side and the right side are equal. Interesting. Integer of the array, blah, blah, blah. The numbers can be positive or negative. Okay, so cool. I think we can do this. Come on, let's do it. This is a 6Q, so it's a little bit harder. Or they're supposed to be anyways. Let's bring in our title. Let's grab our function. And our test. Start up Quokka. And we can go ahead and save these, and so Quokka stops running on them. Save some CPU. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to need to do is have a place to store. Let's go ahead and bring our functions down so we can see our output. Cool, so we get an undefined returned. What we're supposed to be getting returned is the index of where both sides are equal on either side. So 3, 1, 1. Cool. So the first thing we need is a place to store our left and right values when we're looking at it. We're going to look at one spot in the array. We'll sum the values on one side, and we'll sum the values on the other side, and we'll store those, and we'll compare them. And if there's ever a point where they're equal, then we'll return that index. So we'll say let left equal 0. That'll be the left side of the array, and we'll let right equal 0. That'll be the right side of the array. And now we need to loop through our array. So we'll set up our standard for loop. I equals 0 while I is less than array dot length, then I plus plus. And then so we'll say if the index is equal to 0, then we want left to equal 0. We don't want it to be like an empty object or whatever. So first of all, we're going to say if our index is equal to 0, then we want and we don't need curly brackets. We can say left equal 0. Cool. And now let's set up our left and right values so we can start comparing them. We're going to say left, and it's going to equal, we're going to need to slice, so we're going to say array dot slice, and we want to slice, and that takes a piece of our array. We want to slice from 0, we're going to get the left side, so we want to slice from 0 all the way up into our index. So we're going to grab that chunk of our array, and we want to reduce it. That'll we're going to sum it. So our reduce takes in an accumulator, and if we could get this big thing out of the way, accumulator and our number. We'll throw in our arrow function, and we'll say our accumulator plus equals our number. And we want to reduce this down to a number like that. And then we want to say, we want to get our right value. So we'll do pretty much the same thing. But we're going to slice from our index. We're going to start at our index, plus 1. And we want to go up into the end of the array. So we'll say array dot length. Except we got to spell it right. Cool. So that'll give us our right side of our code. Our right side of our array, and then we'll reduce it just the same way to get the sum. It takes in the accumulator and takes in our num. Arrow function, and we'll say accumulator plus equals num. We want to reduce it down to a number. So now we have our left and our right values, and we can see that if we would like. We can log out left. That gives us our sums for each iteration. So now we can say, we can check it. We can say if we want to see if they're equal. If they're equal, then we return that index. So we'll say if left is equal to right, then we want to return our index. I'm sure some of these will be passing now, some will not. The ones where we need to return -1, but you can see here 3, 3, 1, 1. So if they are equal on both sides, it is going to return our index. But if not, then we want to return -1. So if we check it out, we get 3, 3, 1, 1, -1, 3, 3. Cool. So let's go ahead and throw that into Code Wars and see what happens. Let's test it. Nice. And let's attempt it. Cool. We did it. Let's see what other people's solutions were. Okay. So they just went ahead and reduced. They loop through if I is equal to 0, left plus array at index -1. Okay. So they created a summing function. I don't know what's going on there. Cool, so they just created a reduce function, sum. They found the index, they took in the element, the index, and the array. They called the sum function array.slice. They sliced the piece. Okay, so if that slice, okay. Cool. Alright, super cool. Well, today's gonna be a short episode. We're at about like 30 minutes, so that's good enough. But hope everybody has a great day. Thanks for watching. Peace.